You can't cover things up. Own it. You make a mistake. Don't make it again, and carry on.
Yeah. One thing that comes to mind, it's easier to make mistakes as new guys because you're expected to make a certain amount of mistakes. It's harder when you're a more experienced guy, even a leader, to make a mistake, and how you handle that is even more important. I had a case where, I'm just going to be diming myself out today. Just
all good.
Just repenting on some of my team guy mistakes. But I was on my 4th platoon, so this was after Ramadi. I went to a training command. I was perhaps a smidge rusty coming back, and we were doing a jump. And
you were a smidge rusty on jumping. Yeah. Check.
Yeah, when you're at a training command, you're sucked into. I was at Buds, so I was doing very basic training there, and we had done some qual jumps or whatnot. But anyways, we were doing this jump, normal kind of profile. I was a little bit rusty, and they had me. Normally, being a bigger, heavier guy, you're at the back of the train jumping out because you fall faster than everyone else. For whatever reason, they put me out front. And anyways, they're given the signals, and one of the signals, which is the standby signal, is a thumbs up. So they hit the bottom of the floor and they thumbs up, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's roll!" And basically just jumped out 15 seconds early, and the entire train jumped out. So we were hovering probably over Mexico a little bit. But after that, I didn't even realize what I'd done. When we jumped out, I was like, damn, we're kind of far from the DZ. We all made it back, and then the guys were polite enough to let me know, hey, why'd you jump on standby? And then Standby Bob was born. So there's been many Bobs, but for a while I was Standby Bob, and you got to take it on the chin, man. Yeah. You gotta own it up, and especially if you're in a leadership position, it sucks sometimes to take that, but you gotta just take it, man. Yeah,
there's a very decent chance if you do something like that, you're gonna end up with a modified or new nickname.
But if you fight it, the nickname lasts forever.
Oh yeah, if you fight it, it's gonna stick even more.
But no one knows me as Standby Bob anymore, except for a select few. Maybe now a couple more. I'll get a couple more. But
there was a video of, it wasn't me. It was in my platoon. I wasn't free fall qualified, but it was this is my first platoon, and like there was a whole debate on the ramp of a guy saying like, go, no, go, no, go. And it was like, it was all in video. It was just comical. So that's why we rehearse. That's why we rehearse.
Well, this goes to, we're talking about humility, and, the longer you're in, the more likelihood you are to get complacent. And, I've had a couple periods of my career where I got a little complacent, and complacency kills. And that's why, you got to fight it at all costs. There's another, we'll throw this in the mistake category here, but I watched Warfare this last week. Fantastic movie, man. I watched the episode with Joe and LA, man, and really powerful stuff. But when I was watching that movie, I was seeing so many of the sights and sounds and feels that I was familiar with. It was blowing my mind. But there was one scene in particular that is like, holy shit, I feel like I've seen this. And no spoilers here. You already had them on. But anyways, there's a scene where they're looking through the scope, and you see these people scampering into the building. Like I saw that, and I saw that, and so I was on a gun. I wasn't a sniper, wasn't trained sniper, but we all rotated through. Watch rotations essentially. So I spent a lot of my time on an A-dub looking down the sector, but I would rotate through sniper rifles. I was trained to shoot rifles, but not as proficient as a sniper. But anyways, I saw this movement, and I zoomed in and was looking at that. And right when I did that, out of my periphery, I saw a puff of smoke from across the street, and I looked and I locked eyes, not behind the scope, but with this fucker shooting an RPG like right in my face. And that thing zoomed in, and I swept the scope over, and it was zoomed in because I'm looking, 1,000 yards down, and it was just blackness, nothing. I was basically, not able to get that guy. And we got hit by PKM soon after. But those are the mistakes that you don't want to don't want to have to learn, but luckily we didn't get hit, and just don't make that mistake again. And and whether or not that was a mistake or they just got one up on me from being zoomed in or not being aware of the immediate part of our sector. Combat's hard, man, and sometimes even you're trying to do all the right things, you're just going to get gotten sometimes.
Yeah. What did you? I had my first deployment to Iraq. We were in this position, and do you remember when they had FLIR on the Humvees for a little while? And so we were in this position, and I had my Humvee in this kind of like bunkered position, and we were looking across the river. This was in Baghdad, and we're looking across the river, and we're scanning for a while, and all of a sudden and we had snipers out, but I had the FLIR, so I was like, okay, I can help the snipers a lot. And so I'm looking across the river, and all of a sudden, this kind of vehicle rolls by, and then it kind of rolls by again, and then it stops, and then like guys get out, and I'm like, oh, it's these guys are definitely setting up, and they start they open the trunk, so now I'm like, oh, okay, cool, we're about to kill some bad guys, because we're on this fob that had been getting attacked a lot, and so now I'm like zooming in. I'm like trying to PID weapons. I'm talking, snipers like, hey guys, right? There was a bridge right there, and I was like right by the bridge, and they were like, we got him, we're tracking. And as I'm sitting there, like totally focused on that, boom, we get hit with RPGs from like another spot. And it was as soon as it happened, I was like, dude, I just got so played, because they made the total obvious thing to draw all of our attention, including mine. And then we got hit from probably 300 meters away, which is, I did not see any of it. We just boom, boom. I'm like, oh yeah, we just got played. That is, the enemy's going to be smart. What do you remember? I know you're on that podcast I did with Joe and Elliot. We did, we kind of talked about the turnover and how, what my feelings were when we turned over. It was like, you felt like you were letting your kid go, like for the first time in the deep end or whatever. And it felt really hard to leave. How did you feel?
Yeah, I think that's the sentiment there is, because that there's a learning curve. And I knew where we were in April 2006 and then where we were by October. We were completely different humans and operators. And you feel for the guys, and you wish them the best, and not knowing what they're going to face. You just hope that, they're going to learn the lessons they need to learn the easier way. Yeah, tough one.
Yeah. All right. What's your next new guy advice, life advice?
Yep. We talked about humility. I think we're good on that one. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. One of my favorite team guy sayings. Love that. So from a team guy perspective, this is a shooting term, and it's really about being smooth to draw your sights and a smooth trigger squeeze, and that is preferable to being fast, jerky, throwing your rounds off target, missing, and having to take follow-on shots. So that's kind of the principle that applies to shooting. But I think in a broader context, I may be stretching it a little bit, but you guys talk about OODA loop and detaching, and I think those are closely related in terms of just being smooth, right? Being observing, orienting, smooth and deliberate in some of the decisions that you're making, so you're not being hasty and emotional.
That's such a classic team guy saying, and I don't even know where. I think it might have originated from one of the shooting schools that we went to, but I'm not sure. Maybe it came from the Vietnam guys. I don't know. But, when you shoot, and especially when you're a new guy and you're trying to beat one of the older guys until you're going and the faster you try and go, the more shots you throw and the worse job you do. And just to be like, all right, just do what you're supposed to do. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast is a huge benefit. And I think it also applies, like what you're saying is not rushing decision making. And look, you're going to have to make decisions, but sometimes, and again, as much as we talk about being default aggressive and making things happen, there's sometimes it's like, okay, hold on a second. Let's see where let's let this evolve a little bit. Let's let this play out a little bit. Let's see where this is. Let's see if this is the real problem. Because just like I just talked about, a guy that's in the vicinity of this FOB that has been getting attacked in the nighttime when there's a curfew and he's out and he's opening up his trunk of his car, that seems like the biggest problem. And it got me totally sucked in. But if I would have been like, okay, cool. Let's take a bit, just widen the parameter of the FLIR thermal imager, and I would have seen the other dudes popping up with a couple RPGs that they're about to get slammed into us. So taking a step back, not getting target fixation, not rushing to judgment is a good policy, not just when you're shooting, but when you're living.
Be smooth.
Chuck.